everyone. This is E.J. Schultz, news editor at Ad Age, and welcome to the latest edition of our monthly look at purpose marketing hits and misses. Joining me, as usual, is our guest, Thomas Kolster, who is the founder and creative director of Copenhagen-based Goodvertising Agency, which advises companies and organizations on how to turn environmental, societal, and health risks into market opportunities. Welcome back, Thomas.
Hi, EJ. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all.
So let's not waste any time. Let's get going with some hits. And our first one comes from an organization called Babies Uganda, which is a non-governmental organization that runs schools and orphanages in Uganda. And this organization is sort of playing off what we've seen as, usually this time of year, January, February, March, is a lot of like gym and fitness club advertising, but it's putting a much different spin on it. The campaign comes from Accenture Song, and the effort promotes memberships to something that is called the Soul Gym. And they sort of are upfront about the fact that people will never go to this gym, but the money will still go to a good cause. So let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Hakim. Welcome to Soul Gym here in Entebbe, Uganda. This is the weight area. Remember, no pain, no gain. And this is our brand new CrossFit area. This is the cardio area with 1,000 miles to go. And if you've liked what you've seen, here comes the best part. The gym is 8,200 kilometers away from your home, so you will never have to come here, just like your regular gyms at your home, which you don't go to either. The difference is that Soul Gym will make you feel better every day. Because with your monthly membership, you will be sponsoring Babies Uganda, helping hundreds of children to access food and education. Become a member of Soul Gym. The monthly fee for not coming is up to you.
All right, so Thomas, what do you like about this one?
Come on, that puts a smile on your face, doesn't it? I mean, fundraising is a difficult discipline. I think we all try to be chased by fundraisers on the street, leaving the underground, etc., and them trying to crack a joke at us. But I think they sort of get three things right. The first thing, the timing, as you mentioned, EJ, it's January, this ad, people are health conscious, looking for health content. So I think there's something around the timing that makes sense. Secondly, we often talked about this idea about preaching to the converted. This time around, they're broadening the target group. I mean, I'm browsing on YouTube and I come across this ad and it pulls me in. So I think it's actually quite clever that they expand the target group for people who might not be in your usual let me donate to Baby Uganda target group. And maybe lastly, and I think it's a point we made so many times before, the tone and style is just lighthearted. It's the type of content that you'd come across in between searching how to become healthy in January and the kittens that you might be browsing for on YouTube. So they get a lot of stuff right.
It's definitely an uplifting approach that might sort of be a contrast from what we would normally see with a fundraising effort like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of it is, your usual black and white appeals, and especially it's not easy to get people involved in what's happening all the way to Africa. And I think they even make that joke, this gym is 8,000 kilometers away, but it's really, really difficult to get people involved and emotional around donating to these types of causes. So I think they do this really well. And in times of sort of wars and climate crisis and famine, I think we could all probably need a little bit of Soul Gym.
All right, moving along. Our next hit comes from Australian beer brand Four Pines, which in a new campaign from 72 and Sunny shows how regular people can support the beer's environmental efforts just by buying it. Let's watch this one and then talk about it.
This is Frank. He's never hugged a tree. In fact, Frank has never even watered a plant. Basically, Frank has done very little. But Frank wants to do good stuff. That's why he drinks Four Pines, a beer that does loads of good stuff. The world would be better if more people did good stuff. Thanks for everything, Frank. Four Pines Brewing Co. You drink the beer, we'll do the good stuff.
So this one fits into a genre I like to call lazy environmentalism. I've seen quite a bit of this style of work lately, where basically you're not really asking people to do anything at all, except drink beer in this case. Why do you like this, Thomas?
You know, quite often I think sustainability and ESG becomes this sort of almost too serious space, and I think we should remember that people are still choosing beers down to sort of price, quality, and convenience, and making things simple for people actually really do work well. I remember there was a campaign back in my book Good Advertising for an Argentinian brand called Norte that sort of had a bit of the same sort of idea that, you know, you drink the beer, we go and do the good stuff. I think if you have the chance, go and check out the website as well. I think they've done this really brilliantly. And I think sometimes, you know, we work in advertising, we're here to sell beers. Beers are about fun. So let's not make it, you know, too self-glorifying and run into the hero trap. I think they do it well. I can have a beer with my buddies. You know, I'm doing that with a good conscience.
They
Easy.
sort of go through the litany of good work, but it's pretty quick at the end there. It just sort of flashes on screen, right? It's not too boastful.
No, exactly. And I think they get away with it on the website as well. I often like to go to the website and check on how they follow through. And just as a little reminder, if you think about a movement like Movember, where obviously they're trying to bring focus on mental health, same thing. They do this tongue-in-cheek, talk to men in a language that men like to be talked to, at least a stereotypical man. So I think they do that really, really well. And I think it's something that more brands could actually look to in this space, and especially as ESG is becoming much more political.
So moving along to our final hit of this episode, it comes from a plant-based food brand, NotCo. The campaign is called Not So Happy Animals, and it sort of pokes fun at the smiling animal mascots that we often see sort of emblazoned on food brands. Let's watch the ad, which comes from the agency Gut.
I'm a smiley chicken, but that's only my name. 'Cause underneath this smile, there's a whole lot of pain. I might always be smiling, but please don't have a doubt. I've had so many friends killed, I've even lost count. Listen carefully, I'll give you a clue. Dead friends on the gram, hashtag sad but true.
I may look like I'm smiling, but my grin is not real. You could be happy becoming a meal. There's something you won't hear from your mommy and daddy. You'll find 100 cows in just one burger patty.
If you want to make me smile, I'll just cut to the chase. Stop eating all my friends and order something plant-based.
I may look like I'm smiling, remember it's a lie. I'd be so much happier if I didn't have to die.
They squish and squeeze me and ignore my cries. They turn me into nuggets on my bones, my eyes.
Things you can't imagine.
I may look like I'm smiling, but my grin is not real. Wanna cheer me up, try a plant-based meal. I may look like I'm smiling, but my grin is not real. Scan me when you see me for a great plant-based deal.
So as you can see at the end of that, they sort of tease this digital extension they're running, where they're actually asking people to scan logo, like real life logos. And then they sort of use AI to recognize and animate the logo. And then it ends up warning customers about, you know, stop killing that animal's friends. And then they direct you, of course, to NotCo's Amazon store. There's a lot here, Thomas.
Yeah.
Sort of like mixing like animal cruelty with a jingle. What's your take? Why do you think this works?
There's a lot to unpack. I mean, just if we start with the commercial within itself, I mean, I absolutely love how they target big food corporations and turn their favorite marketing tools, their mascots, against them. So I really do like that. And I think especially in a time where there's so much talk about greenwashing and increasing focus on how these brands tend to communicate. I even sometimes get cheated when I'm looking for a brand and they showcase this sort of picturesque farm with cute cows in the fields, etc. And basically it hasn't seen any of that. It's all factory made. So I think they do that really well. And even though they take a very activistic approach, I do still think that this sort of tongue-in-cheek, the way that they chose the tone and style, I think they still get away with it. And so I sort of go through it. I'm curious to know what it is. And then there's this plant-based alternative.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that activist approach, because we talk a lot about in this series about preaching to the converted and trying to avoid that, right? And I'm wondering if this one does that too much, because it's sort of like, if I'm a meat eater and I'm watching this, I'm like, oof, I feel like I'm really being called out here. Do I do it? Like, how do I feel when I'm watching this? If the goal is to get people to eat less real meat and eat plant-based, does it work on that level?
I think somehow it does. And I think it's because it plays around with these cute mascots. And it in some ways, it makes me think. I mean, if we think about the amount of food brands out there and just brands in general that love their mascots, even in football, we see these mascots. So I think it's a clever way of sort of creating a nice hook and making people think about animals in a different way. That's sometimes, if it was real animals, I think that type of activism would have gone too far. I think using this sort of cartoonish iconography, kind of, they get away with it. What I didn't really like, though, to be honest, was when I tried the digital experience. I thought that sort of missed the bar a little bit. I don't think that was really necessary. I liked the idea about the promotion, but I felt the whole thing around it was a little bit too complicated when I used it myself.
Got it. All right, moving on to our misses. The first one is from a group of advocacy groups, including the Ocean Sewage Alliance. The ad comes from In Common. And they're advocating for clean water by urging people to sign a petition urging lawmakers to enact stricter environmental standards. The catch is, they say, if they collect 1 million signatures, the document will be printed using ink from sewage. The best way to describe this is to watch it. So let's do that.
Breaking right now, millions of gallons of sewage.
It's a danger to human health, suffocating the ecosystem.
Dirty rivers, dirty beaches, 300,000 spill events last year.
We're swimming in shit. Every year, billions of liters of sewage is pumped into our waters. And every year, politicians choose to ignore the problem. But now we're taking this shit to a place where they can't ignore it. Their desks. This is the Dirty Protest, a petition against shit in our oceans, signed with shit from our oceans. We've collected sewage from drain pipes and turned it into shit ink. So we'll print your name with actual shit when you sign the petition, like the chairwoman of the water group just did.
I just signed my name in shit.
This is the first global initiative that fights sewage across borders because shit doesn't care about borders. So sign with shit now at the dirtyprotest.org so we can end sewage discharge once and for all.
So this one, Thomas, reminds me, we during these episodes, we've seen a lot of brands or ads sort of play with oil in the same way, when they're trying to advocate for climate change and fight against fossil fuels. And you see them, using oil as like the enemy. And here it's sort of a different spin on it, using sewage as the enemy. And then they're sort of trying to use a gimmick here to get their point across. Why doesn't it work for you?
I mean, usually I like sort of story doing approaches where you actually go and act on a certain issue. And so all the audience out there, I'm actually normally based out of Copenhagen. This is filmed in Copenhagen. So my neck is actually potentially neck deep in shit here. But maybe I'm just becoming a cynical ad guy. I mean, the amount of stuff that we've seen being printed or ink made out of something, I mean, honestly, like blood, burnt down buildings, sperm I've even seen in cans. So I think the sort of whole notion around it, I feel, is just a little bit tired and contrived. I mean, I think the cause is applaudable, but it just sort of lacks the level that you would expect from this type of work.
Okay. Moving on to our next one comes from a very well-known brand, Doritos. And this is part of a new global platform that they've introduced called For the Bold in Everyone. The ad that we're going to watch, I believe, was created for the UK, and it was made in-house, and it features a visually impaired skateboarder. Let's take a look.
Imagine skating in the dark every day.
So this sort of takes, Doritos has long used a sort of bold description for the brand. This sort of tries to take it into some new terrain. I'm just going to read a quote from the global head of marketing of Doritos, Fernando Cajane, who explained the campaign this way. He said, "Today's consumers want brands that believe in something. For the Bold in Everyone aims to strike the right balance between having a point of view and delivering entertaining and humorous content that is true to the brand and the snack category as a whole." I think, Thomas, you maybe feel that this fell short in striking that balance. Can you explain why?
I mean, I think it's something we've seen quite often for brands when they fail in this space. I mean, quite often there's the tip of the iceberg, that's the advertising. Everything underneath the water level, those are the more tricky issues. I get the little thing around playing on everyone, and then they bring in a blind skater in this instance. But what are they actually doing for bringing disabilities to the forefront? I mean, disabilities are a major topic. I mean, I think according to the World Health Organization, 60% of all of us live with some sort of disability. So I think just featuring folks and normalizing people with disability, I guess, is not enough anymore. I think that would have been enough 5 to 10 years ago in advertising. I think today you demand more actions before you just showcase more diverse talent. So I think in that instance, they missed the mark, and it could potentially have become another sort of Bud Light instance where people ask, why are you doing it? It's not just enough because you write everyone. So it's a bit of a shame, because I like when we feature diverse talent, but I also like when brands walk the talk. So
more of a call to action here is what you're looking for, basically?
Actions, basically, not even just a call to action, but action. What are they doing for the disabled out there? I just think it's not enough to feature them. Or if they feature them, do make a program around why you feature disabled people, and bring that perspective out there. So that's what I'm missing. I'm missing the action part.
All right, moving on to our final miss of the episode. It comes from Greenpeace. We featured them in the past. This one comes from Greenpeace France. And in a series of new ads out, they're spoofing horror films. This one comes from agency La Chose, and this is called The Plastic Attack. Let's watch. All right, Thomas, why doesn't this work for you?
I mean, as you said, we've covered Greenpeace a lot of times before. This time, I'll begin by being kind. I think that's how you usually have to give criticism when you were in school, right? Quite often, I think they preach to the converted. This time around, I think they actually get it right. I mean, they do hit a much more mainstream target group with this type of ad, and especially using the sort of style that they do, sort of playing on the horror movie aspect. So I actually really like that, in the sense that I get drawn into it, and there's a fun fact around plastics, something that should be an important topic to discuss anyways. So well done on that. They got the target group right. They got the sort of tone and style right this time around. But it, for me, just doesn't really add up when I think about it. And maybe it's just me that overanalyze ads. I think we're getting paid to do that these days anyways. But for me, plastic is not attacking us. We're the ones that are putting the plastic out there. So I think there's something in the narrative for me that just doesn't add up, which annoys me a little bit because we're attacking ourselves with the plastic. The plastic are not attacking us.
Right. Got it. Okay.
I can see you're not agreeing on that one.
No, I get your point. It's my issue, not necessarily issue, but I've just kind of seen so many ads, beyond purpose ads, playing into this horror movie theme and fake movie trailers. We just saw, I think there was a Super Bowl ad that did a similar thing. The whole like movie trailer ad posing as a movie trailer thing feels a little overdone at this moment. It feels like everyone's kind of reading the same playbook on that. And that was one thing that I observed on this one.
No, I kind of agree on that one as well. And I think especially when it's not done that well, if it was a new take on it, probably would have been a lot more excited. But well done on those two other points, Greenpeace.
Okay. Well, that we'll have to leave it there. Thomas, thank you again. That was Thomas Kolster of the Goodvertising Agency. My name is E.J. Schultz, news editor at Ad Age. I want to thank our producer, as always, Lauren Giardio. And we'll catch everyone next month for our next Purpose Marketing Hits and Misses episode. Thanks for tuning in.